Welcome back, SharePoint developers. This is episode 2 in our new series on developing for the SharePoint Framework. If you missed episode 1, make sure you click on the link above. Let's quickly review episode 1. So what did we learn in the last episode? We learned what is the SharePoint Framework, my top 10 benefits for using the SharePoint Framework. We learned the advantages around security, and we had a preview of the new web part that we're building as part of this series. However, like all good construction projects, we need to have the correct tools to build something. This episode, we're going to look at what tools we need as we build with the SharePoint Framework. Steps we need to take are creating a project, editing the code, adding supporting code libraries if needed, building or compiling our code, and then running our code to make sure everything's working as expected. How do we do this with the SharePoint Framework? We create a project using a package called Yeoman. We edit using a code editor. There's many available, but for this series we're going to use Microsoft's Visual Studio Code. We then add supporting libraries or packages, and we use a tool called NPM or Node Package Manager. We then run scripts to compile and build our code, and for this we use a package called Gulp. Finally, we then run our code, and we do this in a browser. So we use a modern browser such as Edge, Chrome or Firefox. In this series, we're going to use Edge. First, let's install Visual Studio Code. We need to go to the download page, the links are found below, and we need to install the correct package for our operating system. So for Windows, we'll install the one for Microsoft Windows, and for a Mac, we'll look for Mac OS. Next, we're going to install Node.js. We use it to run our projects and to install any packages or code libraries required by our project. NPM stands for Node Package Manager. There are alternatives such as Yarn, but in this series we're going to use NPM. And we use it to install all the packages that SharePoint relies on. Now for the SharePoint framework, we need to install Node version 10. And this may change very shortly. So if a link appears above me, then I'd advise that you go to that video to see how to install the latest version of Node that's compatible with the SharePoint framework. To install Node.js, we go to the Node.js website and we select the correct version, in this case version 10, to install on our system, whether that's Windows as shown here or on Mac OS. Next, we're installing Gulp. Gulp is needed to automate repetitive tasks, and we use it when we're building and compiling our code. Officially, it's known as a toolkit to automate and enhance your workflow. And our workflow is the build process in the SharePoint framework. It's used to build our projects and package them up so we can eventually deploy them to SharePoint, as well as run them in our development environment. Next, we're going to install Yeoman. A SharePoint framework project consists of many files and folders, and it would be really difficult to construct these by hand. Fortunately, Yeoman provides templates to boilerplate all this code for us to save us much time and effort. It provides templates to build web parts and extensions in a variety of frameworks. Think of it like a document template in Word, only we're using it to generate our code. We're not only going to install Yeoman, but we're going to install a couple of generators as well. These are the templates that are used by Yeoman. The Microsoft one allows us to scaffold JavaScript and ReactJS framework projects. The PMP one allows us to use other frameworks, VueJS, Handlebars, Angular Elements, and Aurelia. In this course, we're going to concentrate on JavaScript, ReactJS, and VueJS. So to run our code, we need to use a modern browser. So I would encourage that you install Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, or Mozilla Firefox. The latest version is needed to run our SharePoint framework projects. In this series, we're going to be using Microsoft Edge. So now we've installed all those elements, we're going to create our first web part.
First, we type Yo at the command line. Then we choose the Microsoft SharePoint template. For our solution name, we type My First Web Part. We choose SharePoint Online Only, and then we choose either the current folder or a new folder. Choose all the defaults, including Webpart, and then call your web part Hello World. This time choose No JavaScript Framework. Type Gulp Trust Dev Cert to trust our web part. Answering yes to any prompts. And then type Gulp Serve to run our web part in the development browser.
Congratulations, you've developed your first web part. Join us next week where we're going to examine the code that's been produced by Yeoman so we can understand exactly what's going on with our solution. If you haven't done so already, please click subscribe and click the notification icon so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next time.